Greetings, everyone. My name is Mark Hanitka, and I'm a full-time faculty in the College of Liberal Arts. And I'm also joined by Dr. Tim Rice in the College of Doctoral Studies. And we are going to go over this new credit hour analysis tool and lead you through some training that will help you as you start to analyze your first course development using the new tool. So a summary of the presentation. We're going to go talk about the credit hour analysis process as far as it relates to the new document. We're going to give a brief overview of each page of the document and what it's used for. Then Tim will lead you through the important information and points to fill out on the title page. Also, it's very important, and we highly encourage you to start the credit hour analysis process as you begin the course development, because it can help show you the balance of sources and learning activities, and can just give you a better idea as you go through the course development process. Then we'll go through some of the most common types of sources and assignments that you might see in many courses and show you how to enter those into the document. And then there will be a second video or second part to this video where we'll go into some different and kind of unique assignment examples and sources that might not be common in every course, but certainly show up in certain courses that are using more unique activities. We'll give you this information at the end of the presentation. If you're running into trouble or need more information, all of this information on credit hour analysis, the training, the frequently asked questions document is available on the Course Design Cafe that is linked below, which is through the CETL. And there is a frequently asked questions document. And also there will be a list of the point people from each college and division who can assist you with credit hour analysis questions, or if none of that helps or you still need more information, you can reach out to credithour@ashford.edu for more information. These are going to be the types of sources that we're going to go over, kind of the more commonly used sources. And also you'll notice as we get into it that there is a sliding time scale for many sources and activities. And we're going to go over in more detail why that's there, how you choose what level of time to select, and then about including your rationale in the document. As I said, we'll go into more detail on those common sources, and then we will also go into detail on showing you how to enter these common assignment types into the document. So from there, we will go into the document. This is what it looks like. It's an Excel document. This is the cover page, which Tim will go into more detail on. That's the first workbook page. The legend is just an overview. It's all of the different types of activities and sources, and it has a calculation guidelines and also a description of what types of activities and sources fit into that category. So it's very helpful, but this is just the legend. You don't enter any information on that page. The next page is the time map for 5-week-long undergraduate courses. And this is where you'll see week by week different sources and activities, where in column C is where you'll enter the time based on the calculation, and then in column E you'll enter an explanation of how you arrived at your time for that particular activity. Once you fill that out, or as you're filling it out, that information will automatically be entered into this summary by activity page, which will show you the totals for guidance, textbook, scholarly journal articles. Every type of source and activity will show up on the summary, and it will be calculated at the bottom and then automatically transferred over to the title page. As you go further in the document, you have different time maps and summaries for different programs. This is for MA and MS courses that have 6-week-long course periods. There's another one that has up to 9 weeks, which is used for some doctoral programs and some other courses. So as you go further in the document, you're just going to get more maps and summaries, and you only need to worry about those if you're dealing with a 6 or 9 week course. So we'll go back to the cover sheet, and then I will turn it over to Tim to talk more in depth on that. Thanks.
Okay, go ahead and unshare and I will take it from here.
Unshared, and I'm going to go on mute. You good, Tim?
Good.
Cool. I feel like that went much better. Sorry, I kind of stole your summary activity into the title page, but maybe, is that okay?
It's very good. Yeah, I mean, what I'll do is I'll go to the summary by activity and just show an example, just one, and then get out. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. And 3, 2, 1. Thanks so much, Mark. And I'm really happy to show you all the cover sheet from a course that I actually did a credit hour analysis for in my program in the College of Doctoral Studies. I actually reviewed Sci 7321, Advanced Performance Enhancement 3, the Psychology of Peak Experience. I am a sport and performance psychology faculty member and director of the Doctor of Psychology program here at Ashford. And that's what this is a sport and performance psychology class. In the actual cover sheet, as you see, it has all sorts of information. I'm going to go through it real quickly so you can get a look. Okay, as you can tell, the course code is right here, as you can see it. The course name is going to be right here, and make sure that you completely fill that out. Do not abbreviate. Make sure you fill out the entire name of the course. The college is going to be the next phase here, and if you look to your right here, there's a drop-down arrow, and as you see, it says yellow highlighted boxes indicate a drop-down box. If you are in another college at Ashford, you can actually click the college you're in. In my case, I'm in College of Doctoral Studies, so that's what I did. The date is the date that it was actually completed, and then prepared by would be anyone that helped prepare the document. In my case, I was actually trained by Lynn Trevisan and Wendy Conaway, who are members of our committee with the Credit Hour Analysis Committee. And they helped me be able to go through this and learn how to properly do this. In the case of this cover sheet, you can see the last review date. We have not done a review on this, so this is the very first time we've done one. You see the total credit hours for different academic levels. Well, it's undergraduate, graduate, and of course, College of Doctoral Studies. And as you can see, 151.12 hours pops up. And I'm going to show you kind of where that is here in a second. That way you know kind of where it came from. As we go down the list here, you see the credit hours awarded to the student. You see the undergraduate numbers. One is for 3 credit hour courses or one for a 4 credit hour course. And then for the master's and doctoral colleges, you're going to see, or programs, you're going to see a range of hours that would make up a 3 credit hour course. In this case, it was a 3 credit hour course and came within the standard of 135 and 177. As we go down the list here, down the sheet, you'll see deviations and rationale for deviations. If there's ever a situation where you have an assignment that is completely outside of the summary by activity that we have within this document, you can actually enter notes here and explain those. You have a maximum of 2 per class that you can use if needed. Each person obviously is going to develop a course a little bit differently, and there are times where deviations will be used. And then in this case, the reason for review is that I'm doing a program review for the Doctor of Psychology program right now, and we'll be doing credit hour analysis work on each of the courses in my program. And then at the bottom is a very handy-dandy directions 1 through 4 for completing the time map. And as Mark alluded to earlier, the time map, in this case in the undergrad, we'll just show it to you, is basically shows you the times that you would put in right here and so on. Now, just to give you kind of a quick overview of the summary by activity, Mark talked about this a little bit, and he actually showed you from the beginning each of the different activities that are in the document here when you're looking at your actual time map. And then you come down all the way down. We'll just take a quick look just to show you guys where the 151 came from. This is calculated from all of the different hours that were collected within the actual summary by activity, or actually rather the time map. So this helps actually get an idea of where the contact hours are, how many you have, and how many minutes you have, as well as the total credit hours in the course. So that pretty much wraps up the cover page. As Mark alluded to earlier, it's really, really important to get an early start when you're doing a review of a course. Don't wait to the very end. Start it off at the beginning. It's very helpful because that will help you be able to design the course in a way that's going to meet the expectations of your college and hopefully help the student gain the most out of their course. And so now I'll allow Mark to take it away from here to talk about the common assessments and sources. All right, there you go.
Great. And I'm actually gonna talk about the sources, and then you're gonna talk about the assessments, right?
Yeah, I can do that.
Correct. Awesome. Awesome. I mean, I could do them both, I suppose,
yeah, that's
but
fine.
I figured we'd break it up again too. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen.
All right.
All right, can you see me all right?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to start in 3, 2, 1. Thanks, Tim. So we have a blank credit hour analysis sheet, and we're going to go into the time map for undergraduate courses. And we're just going to go down through 1 week and enter in, you know, some of the common sources. So instructor guidance, most courses either have pre-made guidance or faculty provided guidance. And that in conjunction with announcements is allocated at 60 minutes per week. Even if there isn't an official guidance, this would still include like announcements and yeah, other things of that nature. So we would enter 60 there, and explanation, there's not really much explanation there unless there's, you know, some deviation from the standard, and that would go on the deviations on the title page. Obviously, many courses have a textbook and textbook readings. Here you can see there's a range of 5 to 10 minutes per textbook page, and that's determined using like a PDF format of the textbook. There still might be some variation in the how many words per page. So we recommend that when you have a textbook, you kind of get an idea for about, on average, how many words per page there are in your textbook in the PDF format. And then, so this is like based on a standard of 250 to 300 words per page, roughly. We recommend that you do the middle value if there's no strong reason to go up or down. So going to the lower end of 5 minutes per page, this would be material that is very, very easily accessible to the student at that level. So this would be something that is so easy. The student can quickly go through it. They're not getting stuck on any terms. They're not having to like go through, you know, anything at all. They're just basically really, you know, 250 words. They're going through it really easily. On the other hand, 10 minutes per page would be very dense textbook material where students are having to look up a lot of terms and definitions, just very high level material for the student in that course, the average student. So if not though, you know, we would recommend going at, you know, 7 minutes per page. And this is the rationale. 7 minutes per page average. At, let's say there's 30 pages in week 1 of textbook. So then you would do the calculation and you would have 210 minutes of textbook for week 1. And obviously if you have different textbooks or different chapters, and maybe the chapters vary a little bit, you could probably just leave it on a per chapter basis, but you would put the different rationales. So if you had one textbook that was extremely easy, at 5 minutes, you would put the rationale in that for that textbook. So maybe 5 minutes per page at 10 pages. And then you would enter, if there was another textbook at a different level, you would enter each rationale separately, but then add them together and enter the minutes for week 1. Going on to scholarly journal articles, scholarly papers, technical papers, anything that's at a higher level. These are 500 to 600 words per page, approximately, also based on, take an inventory for the source when you find it. And then same thing, the range on this is a little bit higher, 6 to 12 minutes. Same idea, go for the middle value unless you have a justification for going down to 6. Like this is relatively easy material in terms of some sort of scholarly journal or technical paper. But otherwise, you might be going for 9 minutes per page and also here you might have different justifications. So let's say you have 4 different articles in the week. You would say like 9 minutes per page at 10 pages. And maybe you have a really easy article, 6 minutes per page at 5 pages. And so you just enter that and then add those up. And in the explanation of calculations, you can also put, maybe one of the authors and the year so that you can know that for your own records. And as you go back and review the course, you know like what you allocated each source at. So maybe it's like Hardin. I guess Hardin's actually 1968, and that's the 9 minutes per page. And then, and then you could put the other author in too, and then add them up. So that would be 90 plus 30 is 120. So that's 120 minutes for scholarly journal articles. And then non-interactive websites. This is anything that obviously the student is going to, might be a governmental website, not-for-profit website, some other kind of informational website, where they're mostly reading, looking at content on the page, maybe some pictures as well, roughly 250 to 300 words. Once again, there's a range. This does not include if the website has video that you want the students to watch or any other sort of activity. This is just students are going to a web page. They're mostly reading or looking at visual content. Same thing. So maybe there's one web page at, it's a really brief web page. And there's just one this week. So that's just going to be 6 minutes. And obviously there's that range there. Also, to go back to the textbook in particular, some of our digital textbooks have built-in links to videos or web pages or other sources. If that is included in the required reading and it's not explicitly stated to the students that they don't need to view those materials need to be entered into their own categories, like the category for audio visual runtime. So that all needs to be factored in if it's required reading. You could also say that read the textbook reading and the embedded videos are optional. You could say that and you would not have to enter those videos if you do not want to require the students to read those. I'm going to skip by some assignments. There we go. Here's the audio video runtime on line 27. So this is included or independent from the textbook. You just, look at the same minutes and then you divide seconds by 60 to get the decimal point. And then you would enter each video, and you don't need to enter each video. You could calculate it if you have another list or from the course design guide. You can just add up the total runtime and then just enter it here. So let's say you could enter, if you want, like 5 videos total, and then total runtime ends up being like 38.34 minutes. So that is for obviously any sort of podcast, video. Could also be a recorded lecture with slides that instructor produces. That's just going to be the runtime on that. Media other than audio, video, this is like interactive activities. It could be like an interactive website, adaptive learning, games, PowerPoint presentations, Prezi flashcards. Any other thing that kind of fits into that category. And if you're confused or have questions, this would be a good time to reach out to your contact for your college and run it by them if you're not sure. And then this is also only for required content. And this should be calculated based on satisfactory completion of the activity. And so that can vary a lot depending. And the best thing to do as a course developer is to go through the activities, really take their time, have as many people are working on the development as possible, go through the activities and time it, and then come up with a appropriate average. So yes, I believe that is, oh no, here. The last ones that are not assignments would be, one thing actually that is relatively new and we think is very important is a technology familiarization, which is 60 minutes anytime that students are, for the first time in a course, required to learn or, engage in a new technology that they may not have been exposed to. So obviously our students should know Word, they should know basic web navigation, but even things like PowerPoint, Excel, if they have to produce videos, if they have to record audio, record videos, anything that they're being asked to learn a new technology, we're going to add 60 minutes in here. So that would, you might say student must make a PowerPoint presentation, and you would enter each instance on a weekly basis, but only for the first time. So if they have to make a PowerPoint presentation in week 1, and again in week 3, you're only going to count this once. So that would be 60 minutes there. But it's for each new technology. So if you want them to do stuff in PowerPoint and then Excel, you would count that both times. Synchronous learning is also should be included in this, and that's evaluated on a case-by-case basis, but should include considerations for preparation, application analysis, reporting. That would be if you have synchronous learning sessions that are required in your course. And then, of course, review instructor feedback for discussions. So it's 10 minutes per discussion forum, weekly discussions, and non-instructor-led forums. So if there's two discussions, well, actually in week 1, you would not have any feedback. But assuming this was week 2, if you had 2 discussions, then you would have 20 minutes for students to review the feedback on that. And also with written assignments. So if there were, and here for written assignments, it's actually 10 minutes per page of the written assignment. So once again, if I had scrolled down and we were entering in week 2, if there was one 5-page paper, one 5-page paper to review the content, then you would add 50 minutes here. And so just however many written assignments there are, you enter those in and how many pages, and then you multiply that by the total by 10 minutes. Review instructor feedback, quizzes, essays, comprehensive exams, same thing, 10 to 30 minutes for quizzes and essays, and 30 to 60 minutes for each comprehensive exam. And that there can be some adjustment here depending on the length, like if it's a particularly long quiz or comprehensive exam, this is a place that you could, if it's on the shorter end, go for 10 minutes, and if it's on the longer end, go for 30 minutes. So yeah, it's like one exam of medium length. You know, maybe that would be like 20 minutes to review. And then review instructor feedback, non-specific. That's anything that doesn't fit into those first categories. So already we can see, and this is just, you know, we just entered in sources and feedback, and it's already giving us, you know, a week 1 total right here. So now I'm going to turn it over to, back over to Tim, and he's going to go through some of these, the common assignments and what some considerations to take into account when you're looking at those.
All righty. Unshare and I'll jump in.
How was that? I felt like that was long-winded.
It was good. I mean, it's kind of hard not to be. I mean,
right. Right. I feel like I touched on almost every type of source there.
You did.
I feel, yeah.
Well, there were
so,
some, I mean, you didn't talk, well, we didn't talk about, well, I guess portfolio wouldn't be necessarily a source, but there, I mean, you touched on most of them. I mean, you didn't talk about some of the in-class, oh gosh, the stuff for counseling, that stuff you did.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's
okay. So
later. So
according to our slide in this next part that you're going to do, you're going to talk about discussions. I would just go down the list as they come up in order, but discussions, quizzes, comprehensive quizzes and exams.
Yep.
It's interesting. Actually, we accidentally had media other than audio, video, interactive activities on that.
You already touched on that. We're good.
Formative papers, summative papers, and then presentations like oral or media presentations. So is that, or you feel comfortable doing that?
Yeah.
Then?
I'm looking at at the PowerPoint while you were talking on that, so I'm good.
Awesome.
All right.
Cool. Well, I'm going to go to mute, and then you kick it off. I guess start with a.
I will share right now. Thanks, Mark. As Mark alluded to, and we're going to basically look at some of the assignments that are typical in the credit hour analysis document. And to start, really the biggest thing would be the discussions. And I'm, again, looking at my course that I evaluated recently, this SCI 7321. As you can see, in the first week, we had 2 discussion board posts. And in this case, as Mark talked about before, the sliding scale, I came to a decision in this week to make sure that I only had 120 minutes for each one. Obviously, it's going to be different for each level, as well as the, as it states in the document here, complexity and the amount of research and word counts and things of that nature. I believed that it should be 120 minutes for the first discussion and 120 for the second one. In the written assignment for week 2 in this document, I used a formative assignment. Now, there are 2 different types of assignments. You've got a formative assignment that is typically going to be something that is basically a normal assignment in a class. The summative assignment is going to be more or less a final assignment that basically is scaffolded across the entire course. In this case, in this week, I had a paper that was 4 pages. We ended up having 480 minutes on this paper. And 4 pages at 120 minutes per page. And then what we made sure of, and it's really important to do this, is to be as concise and specific as possible on what kind of assignment it is. In this case, in week 2, it was a formative assignment. So as you can see, it's written there. You do not want the person or persons that might be reading this to be confused. It's important to have all the information you could possibly have. As we move down here, We do also have other assignments that we'll talk about later, but they're not as common. But one other one would be a quiz. And in this case, we don't have a quiz in the course, but if we did, let's just say, for instance, let's just say there's a 15-minute or 15-question quiz. We'll just say 15 questions times 4 is going to be 60 minutes. And then what we would communicate would be, 15 questions at 4 minutes a question. And that's pretty simple and self-explanatory. Same thing would be true if we were to do an essay exam, for instance. Again, if it were a 4-question quiz that had, that basically had, or essay quiz that had the sliding scale of 10 to 30 minutes per question, in this case, the example would state that it'd be between 40 and 120 minutes. And that is all based on what you believe the essay to be, how difficult it would be. Comprehensive exam is just that. Okay, it could be many different assessments, whether it's multiple choice, fill in the blank, matching, etc. And again, you're looking at it from the same lens, I suppose, as you would for the quiz. So again, just making sure that you count up the total number of minutes. Again, in this case, if it's 6 minutes a question, let's just say that it's a 100-question exam. It'd be 600 minutes. And we put 600 minutes there and then come over here and it populates it there. And then you would just basically state 100 questions at 6 minutes a question. And then you would also state the type of questions that would be in the actual exam. Now, one thing you can do, one moment, come back up here. One thing you can do on that is just state, if it's essay questions, you could be the 6 minute, you could actually have it be, in this case, it could be an average of 6 minutes per, but, for instance, you could make it an 8-minute question. And then you could actually have a multiple choice, for instance, that could be, in the neighborhood of 5 minutes. Again, these are just, and I make sure that we are clear on that. And then you just go from there. And as you can see, it populates that. But as long as you're completely clear on what is coming, in the exam, that's the most important thing. If you're looking at it from actual presentations, you got your formative presentation. Again, much like the formative assignment, where it's going to be PowerPoint or it could be other type of presentation. Again, this does not contribute toward a summative presentation. Summative presentation, again, is scaffolded across the entire course. And as you can see, it has specific time scales that you can slide and decide what fits. And then as far as other aspects here, you have other things that you see here pertaining to science, math, exercises, and things like that. Honestly, that is going to be, for those of you who teach in those courses, that is something that, isn't necessarily an assignment. So you don't need to worry about that. And then otherwise, those are your common assignments. And I'll leave it to Mark for the next section.
And actually, that's going to be the end of the first video, I think, correct? Unless we're going to, edit it all together into one video. But
yeah, I think
that sounds good.
Yeah.
So I think we should stop recording, save the file, and then maybe send it out to the committee, and then